Yeah, thank you for staying with us with the show. We're still on today's tech show, and this is the Tech Talk segment. Now, as WAEC and NECO gear up to implement full computer-based testing system by 2026, conversations around digital readiness in schools have taken center stage. While this reform aims to curb examination malpractice and improve assessment credibility, many schools, particularly in rural areas, still face hurdles such as poor infrastructure, inadequate training for teachers, and limited access to digital tools. Now, joining me to discuss these challenges and the way forward is someone who has been in this sector, who understands how to go about this space. Mary Matthew, an equitable education advocate and the CEO of Cloudnotte Limited. Mary, thank you for joining me on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Chimodo. Thank you for having me on set today.
Now, let's go straight to this topic. What motivated your interest in educational technology and the drive to bridge the gap between tech and learning?
All right, thank you. Well, there's an interesting question, if I must say. My journey into education technology was actually born from a personal story. Yeah, personal story. You know, first, I'm a Rivers child. Many people don't know about this, maybe because I don't talk about it, but I'm a Rivers child. And growing up as a Rivers child, I was raised in a polygamous family, family of 9 children. I happened to be the first child for my parents, especially for my mom. And, you know, now, first children, there are certain benefits, luxuries that they enjoy, but the younger ones come in are not always opportune to enjoy such luxuries. That was what happened in my own personal case. While my primary and secondary school education, I had it in government school. But then my parents were able to fund my tertiary institution, university, in a private school. I'm a graduate of Madonna University. But then, by the time I graduated, my younger ones, they had to go to school. Well, my parents were already struggling financially. They didn't have all of that money to pay their school fees and all that. But these people these were younger ones, they needed to stay in school. So what did they do? They had to juggle between part-time jobs just to ensure that they are in school. But at the same time, these persons that need to be in school are mandated to be in classes every day because the traditional education system does not really support flexibility. You're mandated to be in classes. Nobody cares if you're the one funding your education yourself or not. So I saw the struggle that they face, and that was how we started Cloudnotte. So Cloudnotte is born to provide schools, educators, school owners with education technology that empowers teachers, school leaders with digital tools to make education more accessible, flexible, and inclusive, such that students, regardless of where they are, whether they are in the classroom or online, should be able to access education wherever they are. And this is not just about my family. It's the same thing you see with many students, millions of students, not only in Africa, but in Nigeria, because many of them have to work in order to be in school.
Now, for those of you listening to us, we're also live on Facebook today, 95.1 FM. You could watch us live and, you know, drop your comments on this interesting conversation. Now, how prepared do you think Nigerian schools are for the 2026 WAEC and NECO computer-based testing mode?
Yeah, so, you know, preparedness varies. If you ask me, it varies a lot. Today, I was in few public schools around the Borokere area of Port Harcourt.
Okay.
I went in partnership with the PTA, Parent Teachers Association for Public Schools. So I went with them. What did we go and do? We went to distribute school uniforms to students who are out of school and all of that. And I used that opportunity to also ask questions. I asked the principals, the leaders, how prepared is your school, how prepared is the government school for the new shift of examination come 2026? Because the government has already mandated WAEC and NECO to go CBT. Why the private schools, some of them are getting prepared. Majority are not, because financially they are constrained, infrastructure-wise, and other things to put in place. But why the private schools are still struggling with this? How about the private schools? Why the private schools are struggling infrastructure-wise? Then what happens with the government school where little or no attention is paid to? So by the time I asked some of the school leaders, how prepared is your school? The principal was like, you can see there is no computer here. I said, even a computer lab you don't have. They say they don't have even a computer lab in a full secondary school that has both the UB. UB is from the junior secondary. Both the junior secondary, the senior secondary, they say there is not a single computer in the school. Now, the question is, what happens to these students in the government school? Does it mean they will not write the WAEC? Does it mean they will not write NECO come 2026? The truth of the matter is all of them will face the same examinations, but not all of them have the same access and opportunities. While the private schools are preparing, I think the government should come in at this point to equip. They don't need to do all of it, but they could start one at a time, having centers in different communities, empower certain schools, so that come 2026, the students in the government schools cannot be left out.
Now, beyond this challenge of computers, and yes, you just talked about computers, what are the other key challenges you think that schools face transitioning from paper-based exams to computer-based exams?
Yeah, so there are a couple of them. One of them is infrastructure, which I already mentioned. The computer falls into the infrastructures, the devices, the power that they need, and all that falls under it. But another key major barrier is digital literacy. You know, digital literacy among our teachers. When I mean among our teachers, especially those in the K-12 schools, secondary schools, is really low. We've seen this play out both even in the private school. How much more the government school? You know, last year we had a pilot program we did in partnership with the Rivers State Universal Basic Education Board. It was just as if we knew that the government was actually going to drive in this CBT. So we pushed for a pilot program to pilot Cloudnotte, run CBT in the government school, so that the government can see that these things are possible. You know, if you don't pay close attention to something, it looks like a giant before you. You feel that, no, these things cannot be actualized. So we took it step by step, and we proved to the government that these things that work in the private schools can still work in the even in the government school. So the pilot program was successful. For the first time, we saw students in the public school take CBT exams right in their schools. You know, when we went out for one of the students was like, when we told them, you're going to take CBT this time, they said, who dash monkey banana? You know, that was the question that one of them asked us. Say, who dash monkey banana? Because realistically, to them, it is not going to be possible. But we walked them through. We're patient with them. We sensitized them. We trained them. At the end of the day, it was possible. And one of the reasons why it was possible was because we were able to deploy the offline CBT version of Cloudnotte that does not work with internet. It does not need an internet. So it made the job quite easy for us. So like I was mentioning, infrastructure is one of it. Digital literacy is one of the, lack of infrastructure is one of the barriers. Low digital literacy is one of the barriers. But one of the most important and the biggest of all is the mindset. The mindset is very important. A lot of our educators, when you mention tech, they are scared. They feel it is very sophisticated. The other day I was interacting with a school owner. She said, I don't know how to do this technology thing, this computer thing. It is not my thing. I said, no, you cannot run a school in the 21st century if you don't have a basic tech skill. If you've never thought of it, more than ever, start today. It is very simple. You understand? So as an innovator that I am, I encourage other innovators, when you're building solutions for education in Africa, you must build with the realities of Africa in mind. Understand that these people, they are tech phobia. When they hear technology, they are scared. They feel it's sophisticated. So you need to come down to their level. So that's where we built solution that is mobile friendly. Teachers can interact with Cloudnotte just the way they interact with Facebook, with WhatsApp. They are able to do their job, deliver digital educational services, set up CBT exams, and do whole lots using just their mobile devices. So mindset is a major barrier. If they don't accept it, then it is impossible for you to enforce the change that you want to enforce on them. So the mindset is one of the barriers before we now talk of infrastructures and low digital literacy.
Now, no matter whatever we see in terms of this, we also have to look at cost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there are a lot of people who are interested in learning this process, and then cost is a hindrance that they would normally have. That's one challenge. So let me say, are there cost-effective strategies that schools can adopt to start digitizing their exam processes?
Yes, absolutely. There are cost strategies they could actually take advantage of. Earlier this month, I was speaking during the NABS Day celebration here in Port Harcourt, and I told some of the school owners, you're crying you don't have infrastructures. The ones that you have, when was the last time you put them to use? Because most times when you mention these things, they tell you, oh, we don't have the computers, we don't have the facilities, but some of them, they have 10 to 20 computers lying in waste. They don't use them. And when you tell them, why are you not using this thing? They say, if the student use it, they will spoil it. How about your teachers? If they use it, they will spoil it. Then why are they there in the school? You understand?
Yeah,
why are they not, well, as in, why are they there? Are they just, interior deco? Or you want to impress parents, you show parents all the beautiful pictures, you have an ICT lab and all that. But at the end of the day, they are not being in use. So I tell school owners, start from where you are, is one step at a time. If it is 5 computers, you can afford. If it is 10, you can afford. If it is 20, you can afford. We have schools that use just 10 computers and all their students are able to take CBT exams. For years now, they've been doing it. So you don't need to have hundreds or thousands of computers in your school before you can get started. Then we'll look at power supply. We know how power can be
around the country.
Around the country and all that. While fuel may be expensive, there are other costs you could consider. Solar. You could just have a small solar that can power a few of the computers. It may not cost that much. So you can have solar that is connected to power those computers. And then you can also consider solutions that runs offline, that can host your CBT exams offline, so you don't spend so much money on data, just the way we are doing with Cloudnotte across schools in Nigeria. So a lot of schools that are using Cloudnotte CBT, they are running it offline. So it's saving them so much cost on data and internet.
Yeah. How important is teachers training in ensuring that success of CBT implementation? How important is?
Yeah, it is very important. Like I keep saying it is fundamental. I say it's fundamental because the changes begins with the teachers. They are the ones to enforce it. They are like the bridge between the student and us. So for us to achieve what we want to achieve, like this new shift now, talking about CBT, who will enforce it? Is the teacher. Who will pass it on to the student? It is the teacher. They can't give what they don't have. So they need to be trained. They need to be trained, empowered on how they can deliver these things and be able to pass it on, pass the same confidence to their learners. So if the teachers are not trained, then they will not achieve what we want to achieve because they will struggle with it. But if they are trained, if they are empowered, then they will be able to pass it on to the students. And this is part of what we do. We don't just empower schools with the software. We are on the field every day, training teachers on how they can deliver education digitally, training them on how they can set up CBT exam, prepare their students, build their confidence. Education has gone digital. The future of education is digital, and those to drive it is the teachers in the classroom, and they need to be trained. They need to be empowered. And I think it's the responsibility of everyone, not just the government, to do that.
All right. Now, from your experience, are students in public schools digitally literate enough to take CBT exams confidently?
Yeah, so this this question, I would say to an extent a lot of them are not, but if they are taught, they will learn. You know, the categories of students that we have today in the classroom, we regard them as Gen Zs. Gen Zs because they are computer age children, so they relate faster with anything that has to do with technology. So once they have an access, once they have the exposure, they have the training, they can adapt immediately. So the focus now should be, how do we give them access to interact with these technologies in the government school? How do they get the exposure? So that should be the question. How do they get the exposure? How do they get the access? But when it comes about them learning, they are very quick to learn. They are going to learn very fast. We've seen it play out when we had a pilot program we did last year in partnership with the Rivers State Universal Basic Education Board. You could see people that they've never had the idea to operate computer. But when it was time for them to take the exams, nobody guided them. There was no support. On their own, they took the exams without support. We just gave them little training, and they were able to grasp everything. And you saw them going into the examination hall, taking the exams, and coming out jumping excitedly. That the experience was massive. They want to be doing it again and again.
Now, how can government and private sector, in terms of private sector partnership, how can it help to accelerate digital transformation in education?
Yeah, so partnership is key.
Yeah.
Partnership is very important between the government and the private sector. Now, the role of the government is to create policies, enabling policies, give incentives, and more to support schools. You know, one of the occasions I was talking with school owners, and they were like, now, government is just pushing this thing, go CBT, go this. Are they getting all the support from the government? So there is a place where government, not just about creating the policies, but also giving support to these schools to be able to drive the changes that you want. And then other aspects of private sectors we could talk about could be technology providers, like Cloudnotte now. The government can partner with, while they are making the policies, they can partner with private organizations to provide the technologies, the training and expertise to these schools to achieve the changes that they want in our education system.
Yeah. No matter whatever we say, we can't leave out the role of parents in all of this. We can't just leave it out. Now, in your own opinion, what role do you see parents playing in preparing students for the shift to digital learning and testing?
Yeah, so absolutely. You know, most of the time students spend it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the times they spend it at home, and most times you see parents, they just push students to school and they forget everything about their education. They believe that they've paid the school to do the job. Why am I still supposed to be doing all that? No. You understand? So it is not just about the school. The new shift now demands everybody's hand to be on deck, including the parent. So parent, I say to you, if you're listening to me, encourage your students when they're at home. They should not just play away, idle the entire time. Guide them, encourage them to play, to use digital devices to learn. There are different learning apps, and they are even free. Some of them are free. They can access them. They can start practicing CBT ahead of time. They can access different questions. Encourage them. One thing I tell parents is don't just leave your computer. Don't just leave your phones with them. You need to guide them, because when they're on the internet, they can see anything. They can access anything. So there is a place for parental guidance. There's a place for parental control. While you're giving them the devices, the gadget to learn at home, ensure that you control the content that they are seeing on the internet. Let it just be solely for learning. You know, earlier this year, when we're about to start JAM, we launched what we call pass.cloudnote.com, where we're able to bundle many past questions of JAM into pass.cloudnote.com. The essence of it was to make learning, practicing, getting ready for JAM, to make it very fun, so that students excitedly, they are just opening their apps, they are opening their phones at home, and they are taking questions, they are answering, and they are competing with other students nationwide. They are seeing the level where they are ahead of time. So such things could be encouraged. Parents should encourage their children. While you are at home, engage on these things. Use digital gadgets. Master how to use these things, so that when you go out there and you're giving any kind of exam, be a CBT, you already have the confidence. So I believe parents have a lot of role to play today more than ever before to ensure that their students are digitally inclined, and it starts from the home. And the good thing is, over 70% of students who practice using that app scored above 200 in the last JAM.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Now, no matter what we say, a lot of people fear that rural schools may be left behind in this process. Now, how can inclusivity be ensured in this transition?
Yeah, so if the rural schools are not carried along, then inclusivity is not yet achieved. So while we are looking at the urban school, attention should also be given to the rural schools. Now, the government could set up some community centers. They can set up certain community centers, tech hubs, different activities around those rural communities, so that the students can have access to go and learn how to interface with the use of computers. And at the end of the day, there should be centers where the students should be taken to access exam. Because if you look at it critically, the schools in the rural communities, how many of them have computers? Even the private schools, how many now? The requirement they are giving is 250 computers to be licensed an accredited center for WAEC and NECO in 2026. You know, before now, they used to have WAEC center, NECO center, all of that now has changed. It's only schools that are CBT ready and has up to 250 computers they are going to be accrediting. Now, the question is, how many schools in the rural communities can afford 250 computers? And they are saying at least 10% of that 250 should be made available for downtime. The other day, I was talking with some persons from Egi, and they built a new school in Obogun, in Onega community. And I'm like, let's make this school a digital school. And they're like, how many computers are required? I said, you need 250 computers. The man was screaming, that is too much. Where is the budget going to come from? And all that. But the truth of the matter is, there is no school in Onega, for example, Onega where I'm from, that has computers up to that, even up to 100, 50 safe. You can hardly see. So what happens to the student in the entire local government in 2026? Does it mean they're not going to write JAM? Can you move them all out from the rural communities to the urban city, even the urban cities? You know, we have more students taking WAEC and NECO than we have in JAM. Those taking JAMs are only those that their parents can further their education into the tertiary. So you have more population they are going to be taking these exams. So what happens? Does it mean they are going to be left out? So I'm calling on the government to invest on education, empower the schools, the rural communities, underserved communities, set up hubs, set up community centers where the students can access these digital services and get them prepared. Because if they are left out, then inclusivity has not been achieved in this new change.
My next question, because of time, relates to what you just said now. It's about, we've been talking about CBT. Now, beyond CBT, how else can education technology improve teaching methods and student engagement in Nigeria?
Yeah, so CBT, people have been talking about CBT. CBT is just one aspect of education technology. Education technology is all encompassing. It is technology that is built for education purpose, to digitize education from school administration to learning and to teaching. It is all encompassing. So CBT is just one aspect. As a matter of fact, it is just one of the basic aspects of education technology. Now, what are the other areas that education technology can benefit schools, can benefit education, especially in Nigeria? Now, for teachers now, there is a new curriculum. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, the government came up with new curriculum and some subjects were taken off, new subjects were brought in, and they reduced the subject and all of that. But now, these new subjects that are brought in, the teachers do not have textbook prior to now to those new subjects, and they don't even have knowledge about them. Education technology comes into play. There is what we call AI for lesson note curation. Like on Cloudnotte now, we have what we call lesson planner that is powered with AI. With this lesson planner, teachers can now generate and create lesson note content in seconds. You know, most times teachers spend most of their time in the classroom writing, either they are writing lesson notes, they are taking attendance, or they are giving homework and all that. These things can be digitized with the help of education technology, giving teachers more time to focus on their core job, which is what? Teaching. So imagine a teacher that is empowered to use Cloudnotte. A teacher that is empowered to use Cloudnotte has all the tools to make lesson notes available within seconds. Lesson note that conforms, that aligns with the curriculum of the Ministry of Education, including even the new subjects that were introduced. Now, this same lesson notes can be converted to multimedia format, can be converted to audio, can be converted to video and PowerPoint presentations to make learning even more engaging. You know, there are some students, when you say some things just the regular way you come, you write on the board, they don't understand. But when they can see these things pictorially, they comprehend better. That was so they understand better. So these tools empowers teachers to do their jobs, automate most of the things that they do. For students, they can access homework online. They can access lesson notes materials. They can take exams. They can track their academic progress and more. The same thing goes with the school, automating administrative processes so that everybody focuses on the core job, of the school, what is the core job, to teach and to empower the student to do better academically.
My final question to you, if you can help me answer this question in 60 seconds.
Yes, please.
What's your message to school administrators, teachers, education policymakers as Nigeria moves towards full CBT examination in 2026?
Yeah, so in 60 seconds, I would say the future of education is digital. It is not about to come. It is not coming. It has come, and it has come to stay. So what I would say is everybody should embrace the change and put in all the infrastructures and everything needed to bring this change to pass. So this is what I would say to school owners, to administrators, to the government. Let us embrace the new change, because internationally, this is the standard of education, and we need to raise the standard in Nigerian education. Thank you.
Mary Matthew, an Equitable Education Advocate and CEO, Cloudnotte Limited. Thank you for joining me on the show this week.
Thank you, Mr. Chimodo. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on set today.
All right, so that's the show for this week. But before I run out, a happy birthday to my friend who had a birthday yesterday, Vivian Black. Happy birthday to you. And for those who are listening to us, we'll select the quiz question winner for this week. So that's the show for this week. Talk that talk.